This is Philippe. He's an intelligent child and a very attractive one. But Philippe is a problem. At school, at home, to himself. Philippe is an overly aggressive child. What can be done? We can say, oh, this is just a phase, he'll outgrow it. Or we can recognize that he needs help and that something can be done to help him. This is the supervisor of his nursery school, Miss Steinberg.
He tried to choke a little boy because this little boy wanted to play with a little girl that he was particularly interested in. He's inclined to reject any authority or limits set for him by the teacher. And it became so bad, even to the extent of hitting the teacher, that we had to ask the mother to come in to see us. And we recommended that she goes to the Children's Hospital for help.
This is Dr. Hyman Kaplan.
Your mommy is worried because you used to do so much fighting at school. And she'd like to know how we could teach you not to fight so much. Do you have any ideas?
No.
Would you like to learn how
Yeah.
not to fight? Well, do you think fighting is the best way to do things?
Yeah.
And you don't feel you know any other way?
No.
This is Philippe's mother.
He's terribly disobedient. A child has to know and has to respect authority from a teacher or from a parent. I feel somewhere along the line I failed. He's a child that has really everything a child would want. And it's really quite disheartening. There's something that it just makes one feel like a failure.
Doctors will spend time with Philippe and with Philippe's mother. It's more useful if both parents come, since both are a part of the problem. But even if only one will come, this can be alter the home situation which contributes to Philippe's problem. Play therapy enables the doctor to enlist and probe the child's feelings, his feelings about his home, his parents, and how he deals with the world about him. There's nothing magical about it, and nothing that is threatening to the home.
If the pussycat went to school and made trouble for the teacher, you'd whip the pussycat.
Yeah.
And would that help the pussycat learn how to do better at school?
Yes, because they'll remember it.
They'll remember it.
And if they're bad at school, I get them a wham wham.
A wham wham. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because you've had whippings and you've had punishments, and has that helped you learn to enjoy school a lot better?
No.
Then wham
What's the gun
wham.
in your head?
Wham wham doesn't always help. I don't have a whip in my hands. Is that what you were looking for? I just have hands that I can sort of get close to you with and love you
You love me?
and be friendly to you. Yes, I love you because I'm a doctor that's trying to help you. And I'm trying to help you by trying to find out how I can help you enjoy your school without fighting all the other kids so much, because there must be a good reason why you fight all those kids. On the one hand, you say he's got everything he wants, and then you say somehow I feel he's missing something, and more than that, you say you feel you're the one that's making this missing occur.
Well, he's missing, obviously, child companionship. I mean, obviously, without the lack of other children, it's not a wonderfully happy home. He's such a difficult child anyway to handle that I just couldn't take another. Wouldn't want another child.
Who do you think's the most important person in his life?
I would say I am.
You are.
Would say so. I'm imagine so.
Well, I would agree with that. Now, children don't learn things by being born with a machinery for knowing things.
No.
They have to be trained and developed. A good teacher, a good mother is a person who gives goodies, love, and affection, and tenderness, and gratification, but who, in crucial situations, can say no. How good a teacher are you, particularly when your child doesn't want to listen to you?
He gets punished, and that's all there is to it.
And then you become a punitive teacher.
If he's very rude, he goes to bed and he's punished. And it doesn't matter to him if he doesn't watch the television. He just goes over my knee with a slipper and he goes to his room. Doesn't always work.
Well, after you've given him a beating, do you feel he's learned something?
No.
Do you feel you've learned something?
No. No.
Well, how angry are you when all this happens?
Well, I am inclined to be, highly strung, to say the least. But I try desperately to handle the situation as calmly as one can.
You mean you don't think you should be angry?
I shouldn't show my anger.
Why not?
Well,
it seems to me, though, that you're trying very hard to teach him, but you're also trying very hard not to teach him, because when you're angry, you're entitled to be angry. If you're putting a lid on that, is it also possible that you're curbing a lot of the love you might give him? Because if one learns to put a lid on feelings, it's very hard to open up the lid for feeling A, but close it for feeling B.
But the thing is, I find that when I raise my voice to him, he raises his voice back. My husband is inclined to give in much easier than I. When I say something, I mean it. That if I'm going to persist and persist and persist, and the next minute my husband's going to give him exactly what he wants, I've lost.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because if you have an army with a dual command, you've got a very chaotic situation.
Well, that's exactly what I know.
Well, you're introducing a new variable here. In what way do you and your husband split your authority, and therefore this boy feels that he doesn't really have any unified command, and he doesn't have to learn. And well,
he has too many teachers. He has too many people telling him what to do.
Well, let's see where we can put our finger on the problem between you and your husband in terms of handling this boy. How do you see it?
My husband is European, and he was brought up, again, in a different way, perhaps nearer to my way of being brought up than the way this child is being brought up. And he actually perhaps didn't have any sort of affection at all. He was brought up by governesses, which is even worse, to quite a late stage. And he works very hard, and he's very tired, and really doesn't have too much patience. And he adores the child. Obviously, that hasn't anything to do with it. But I think that here everybody's under such a strain that it's very hard to know what to fulfill your commitments and your responsibility towards a child.
Well, you're partly saying the man in this house is your 6-year-old boy. He's the boss. He gets mostly what he wants.
Mostly. That's exactly right.
And that's a very heavy responsibility for a 6-year-old, isn't it?
This is Dr. Taylor Staton, head of psychiatry at Montreal Children's Hospital. This mother is pretty bothered.
I guess Philip and the mother have been trying to solve this problem for quite a while. I suspect it goes back a long way. She probably has really had the feeling that she would like Philip to get going on solving his babyhood problems and runabout problems and things like that in rather a hurry, I would think. He's been shamed out of taking his time, or frightened to do the baby things at the baby time, and I wouldn't be surprised that if behind all this aggression and drive and aggressiveness is the feeling of wanting to be understood as a baby.
How sick is he? Or is he sick?
Philip's in trouble. He could continue to develop, and in what we call antisocial lines, where he doesn't get along with anybody, has no friends, and seems to be against any situation that he might come into, and this could certainly lead him into serious trouble. Philip, on the other hand, I get the feeling from what I've seen so far, probably has considerable strength, certainly enough to get what will take care of him and look after him in perhaps rather a selfish way.
How rigid a pattern is this aggressiveness of his at this age?
It's not uncommon for aggression to come to the fore at this point.
But not this much.
Not this much, because this is quite disrupting to everybody. I just wonder, and this will be the real test, as to whether or not we're going to see any softness and babiness and lovingness come through in Philip. If some of this does come through, then I think that Philip will be able to solve his problems in a rather satisfactory way with a little bit of help.
Facts are one thing, feelings another. The doctor must see the problem as the mother feels it.
I'm trying to get at your feelings, and you seem to be hiding them and covering them up. Because I would expect that you would be either very angry with your husband or very sad and hurt that you lost, because you said you don't like to be a loser.
No, I don't.
Well, what happens when you are a loser? Because here is a situation where you are a loser. You've been a loser with your 6-year-old child for a long time. That's what you're telling me.
When I lose,
your
when I say something...
boy's gone out skating. He was supposed to stay in bed. Your husband let him go. And you lost on that occasion. What is it that you're feeling inside you?
Perhaps sadness?
Sadness more than anger.
Yes.
Which hurts more?
Sadness.
Is your sadness deep down? Is it close to the surface? Have you ever cried?
Regarding that, no. The only time I was very upset was when I was phoned from the school to say that they thought he was much better off not to be there any longer. And it was the way that it was put to me that was... I mean, it was just out of the blue. I was just phoned to say that the child was not adjusting and he was disturbing the class, and it was very... put to me very badly, because it's not a teacher's place to phone, it's a principal's place to phone.
What you're putting emphasis on protocol, who should call you. I think you're trying to avoid the catastrophe that your child was expelled from school.
Well, expelled, yes, but expelled usually expel thieves and...
Well, expelled means being...
horrible. I mean, it wasn't his fault that he was asked to leave, because he wasn't handled correctly.
This is the supervisor of the nursery school he was asked to leave.
He was the eldest in the class at this point, and somehow he wasn't up to the level of the other children. And not intellectually, only because he couldn't cope with himself or cope with anything that was taking place. The children were involved in learning things which required more attentiveness and a circle where they sat down for a period of time and discussed various things. And Philip realized he couldn't cope with this. So he would ask to go and visit a younger class. And we tried this on occasions. He came to visit various classes, but immediately became attached to one child and showed his affection by beginning to hurt this child. I spoke to Philip's mother and told her that unless she got some help, we couldn't manage to keep Philip at the way he was now. We were only equipped to do a certain amount. We were only trained to a certain level, and we felt that Philip needed more help than we could give him, or that we needed direction in helping Philip or in understanding Philip. Now, the father became quite hostile. He said he couldn't understand that if we were such experts in nursery school, why we couldn't cope with the situation. And we explained that we weren't such experts in, behavior problems, in the sense that Philip was beyond our understanding.
It's nice of you to join us. I thought it would be a good idea if we spend a little time talking about some of the things that I've tried to observe as I've spent a half hour or so with Philippe. And,
Yes?
you want to show your mommy what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about me telling your mommy what we're doing?
No.
Can I tell her,
Mommy,
too?
you can get those things to bring over here.
Yes. You got a whole mouthful. But you like to play and eat and talk and breathe and grow all at one time, like a real hungry alligator. And I like this. Yes.
Aren't they cute?
This is a mummy, and a daddy. And they've been playing a game most of the morning. What's the game they've been playing?
Husband and wife.
They've been playing a husband and wife game with a lot of kisses and hugs. Lots of kisses and hugs. So many Did you think this Mummy and Daddy never raised their eyebrows at each other and never had an argument with each other, and mostly at breakfast time, when everybody had a whole lot of bacon for breakfast?
Really?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
That's one story that Philippe's been telling us, and he's been coming back to that story again and again. The Daddy being a very, very amorous, affectionate husband, and with lots of kisses and hugs for Mummy. And I think it's Philippe's way of saying that, oh, when you can give a Mummy lots of hugs and kisses, then your Mummy becomes such a happy Mummy. And when you were a little boy like Philippe with lots of hugs and kisses, then you can be not a fighting boy at school, but maybe a happy boy at school. But then, you see, we ran into a bit of trouble. Not really trouble, but game trouble. The alligator became very, very hungry.
Really?
And he wanted to eat up the Daddy's head. And I think the alligator was Philippe. And I think Philip became very angry. But he says, I always get what I want. And that's why I fight. And I fight to get what I want, even though I sometimes never really get what I want.
All right, Anderson, I want that thing now.
You want it right now. And you don't think you can wait longer at all.
Yes, you can, Philippe.
I cannot. I don't
And
interrupt.
are you getting to be a hungrier alligator? Or are you getting to be an angrier alligator?
Now get the angry man.
That's the angry alligator. And you ever get to be a sad alligator? A sad little alligator that says, I want something. And I can't, and I want, and do you ever feel that?
I want something to eat.
Right now, that's right. And I want to get that man right now. And I want to get the apple juice right now. And I want my daddy to kiss my Mummy right now. So everybody can be real happy.
Good night.
Well, I'm going to get to sleep. How would you like to lie down in my arms and fall asleep in my arms? You see how sleepy you are, right? Well, can you cuddle in my arms? Ah. And now you can be that little baby with one tooth. And I wonder, what's better, a big, hungry alligator that wants things, or a little baby with one tooth that can start life all over again and be cozy and comfortable? What do you like best? What would you rather be? A big, angry boy, very hungry, or a little, cozy baby with one tooth?
A big alligator.
A big alligator. And the big alligator, is he happy when he wants all the things he can't get? Is he happy when the teacher's fighting with him?
No.
And when his Mummy takes her slipper out? And when the Daddy shouts? And I don't think that alligator is such a happy little boy. Do you? I think he's a sad little boy, because he'd like to be a big boy that can go to the park, make bacon for breakfast, make his Mummy and Daddy happy.
Hold it.
Hold it.
Who made this? You did?
Yes?
For who?
Mm.
Me?
Would you like me to make this for you?
Yeah.
Because you're giving me a real big hug. You had your arm
Now, here's
around me,
something
hugging
for
me
you.
for a long time, and now you made something for me, and that's true. If I can do something nice for you, you can do something nice for me, and the alligator can be put away. And the hungry alligator isn't so important anymore.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Well, that's a pretty tender little alligator.
Very, very helpful to see him perform in this way, because you know that there is a tremendous need to be dependent and to be loved and to have kind of physical contact, which little boys this age should be able to have every once in a while. He's not quite as tough and as hard as he would like to, as he's tried to make people think. If he was as tough and as hard as he's made a lot of people think, he'd be in deep trouble. I don't think he's quite in as deep trouble as perhaps they felt he was at the beginning. People need some support and help as to how to handle him.
He needs to be treated like a little boy a good deal of the time.
He needs to be treated like a little boy and protected from the alligator that's in him, I guess. And this is best done by beginning to accept the little weak part of the little boy that's in there, which is rather lovable, but this hasn't been developed enough yet.
Perhaps if the mother sees the need.
She seems to be prepared to deal with this part of him again. She has the same patterns that he has in a different way, but I guess without realizing it, she's probably been exposing him to this rather aggressive way of dealing with things.
The point is they need help.
Oh, they need help. Yes, this family was really in a very tight jam, and they needed something or somebody to see that there were other ways of living than the way that they had been living.
Otherwise, the boy couldn't have lasted in school or gone through school, perhaps.
Well, this may have been his way of letting everybody know that there's something wrong, and some help had to be given to him. This is a symptom, and he's crying out to get the pain relieved, so to speak.
It is 7 months later. Philip's mother talks with the psychiatrist who has dealt with the problem, Dr. June Cumberland.
How do you see Philip now?
Completely changed, to say the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And
Could you describe?
improved. Well, he's much more relaxed. He concentrates far more. I think his whole personality has changed entirely.
Well, certainly I have been aware of the change. He was able to sit here for today for, well over half an hour without really insisting that he do a tremendous amount of things. And he could play in some kind of a constructive way.
I think it's due to his schooling and due to his visits to you. And maybe, in another sense, due to the environment that I've tried to change, knowing when I recognized what had to be done.
In what way have you changed the environment to some extent?
Well, I find that he doesn't like to be screamed at, not that any child does, but if you speak to him in a normal way and very nicely, he reacts far better. He's hostile if you sort of shout or command him. And that I found is a tremendous change in him. And of course he's got much older, he understands more. Oh, I just take him aside and say, look here, if you don't do this, Mummy's going to be very angry and he's just going to do it, and that's the end of it. And if I'm not interrupted, I succeed.
If Daddy doesn't stand.
Yes. And he can't go through life wanting everything and getting everything and just smiling and saying, well, I'm going to ask my daddy, he's going to get it for me. He has to know there has to be a limit. And I've tried to set a limit, but it's never been kept.
What happens really is that Philip plays you and Daddy off against each other very often, then, eh? But you and your husband haven't been able to come together to try and help by getting together to try and help Philip.
No.
Has he been aware of the changes in Philip, or would you say he's much the same?
No, he thinks Philip's improved tremendously.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. Do you worry about getting things on your hands? Why?
'Cause I'm afraid my mother's gonna give me a hit.
You afraid Mommy would hit you for getting yourself dirty?
Yeah.
Do you like to be dirty?
Could you tell her we had to paint?
I'll tell her. You're worried she might get angry with you.
Yeah.
Do you and Mommy get angry
There's
with
the mother going after the baby.
What's she going to do?
Gonna spank her, and there's a father after mother.
What's Mommy and Daddy going to do?
Spank the mother, and the mother's gonna spank the baby.
Daddy gets angry at Mommy, and Mommy spanks the baby.
Yeah.
How does the baby feel? Cry? People have fights in your family?
Sometimes.
Who fights in your family?
My mom and Papa.
And what do you feel like when they have an argument?
I feel like I'm sad.
You feel sad inside?
Yeah.
Do you tell them you feel sad inside?
When they punish me, I'll feel sad for them.
Why do you feel sad for them when they punish you?
Because I feel sad.
You ever feel angry inside?
I sure do.
When do you feel angry?
when they start to tell me what to do.
You don't like to be told what to do.
No, I'll tell them what to do.
You'd like to be the one who controls everything in your family, eh?
Yeah.
I like him tremendously. He's warm, he's outgoing, he's charming, and when he's happier, he's a delightful little boy to have around. He's bright. You can discuss with him all sorts of things. His comprehension is very good. And we enjoy having him very much. We have other children with the same problems due to other reasons. But with help, and of course they do get sedation, medicine to help them to learn to live with themselves, not be hyperactive, aggressive, and hostile. But we've seen some wonderful results in the past. It's a long, drawn-out process.
It's the same, the same formula all over again, just a lot of tender, loving care.
Philippe is a happier boy much of the time. Life is a little easier for him, for his parents, for the school. There is a long way to go, but life is long and has many paths. He and his parents and his schools will probably find the right one.